allowing us to put on this film tonight. Before we start, I just wanted to say thanks to an individual who's chosen to remain anonymous, but who has supported this event with their own money. Now, this individual doesn't want any acknowledgement, but I would like to say a big thank you, because without them, this event wouldn't have happened. So if everyone in the room can just say thank you really loudly, that would be great. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you!
I wanted to add that this person felt it so important that the people of Darlington and the North East saw this film, not just because of its political struggle. And yes, it's about Tony Blair and how he lied about Iraq, but it also shows us some of the wider issues within the Labour Party that are still relevant now, especially when we see Blair making sounds that he wants to return to politics following the referendum. And I personally would like just to take a minute to make the link between this film and other things that are affecting our communities in this country and beyond. Now, as many of you know in this room, my passion is about climate change, hence waking up to climate change. And my concern is for the future, for my children and for their generation. And it hasn't taken me long to realise that everything is connected. And climate change is a political issue, because it is the same politicians who are making the decisions to ignore the seriousness and urgency of climate change, who are practising establishment politics. That means politics for the 1%, continuing to make the rich richer and everyone else suffer as a consequence. So just before I pass on to George, I'd like to ask that, as well as enjoying the film and having a lovely evening and listening to the Q&A and participating, you take a moment just to join up the dots. Make those connections between the politicians currently representing us and how they will never deliver the changes we really need in our communities until they are replaced by genuine people who really care. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Louise. That's all right. My name is George Galloway. I'm really grateful for this warm northeast welcome. It's very cold outside, but it's very warm in here, especially I can tell in your hearts. This film is not an exercise in kicking someone when he's down, because Tony Blair is not down. He's £100 million up, and as Jeremy Corbyn could tell you, every hour of every day, he still packs a formidable political punch, particularly inside the Parliamentary Labour Party. And as Louise alluded, just when you thought it was safe to get back in the water, he's back. And he's chosen his terrain very shrewdly. He intends to be the man that will stop Brexit. He knows, therefore, he can count on the support of most of the ruling class, finance capital, the big industrialists, the civil service, much of Parliament, the BBC, and the money and the power. And he intends to add the X factor, which is his political magic. And that's going to pose some dilemmas for some of you. Doesn't, as it happens, for me, but for some of you, that's going to pose some dilemmas, because he will be in the House of Lords very soon. He'll be just, therefore, if you know the layout, just a few yards away from the action, and action there will be in plenty. This film was kick-started by over 5,000 people. If you're one of those, we're very grateful to you, and without your help we could never have begun the task of putting this, I think, powerful documentary together. It will have several effects on you. I know this because, of course, I've seen it quite a few times. This is my 9th in 8 days. Sorry, no, my 8th in 9 days. Even I don't watch it twice a day. It will make you laugh. It will make you at least want to cry. And if you didn't at least want to cry watching some of what you're about to see, there would be something wrong with you. But above all, it will make you angry. And that's what I want to achieve. The anger that all of this was done in our name, the anger that it has been so lavishly rewarded, more lavishly than even you can imagine, and angry that it effectively represents a coup under the cover of democracy, making the point that just voting every 5 years doesn't make you a democracy. Because if you elect a dictator who seizes all the organs of power, then there's nothing very democratic about that. A lot of us marched and said not in our name, but I'm sorry to tell you that from the streets of Baghdad, it was done in your name. It was done by a military that was flying your flag and was paid for by your taxes and was authorized by your parliament. So we mustn't be too smug about that. And worst of all, it's all happening all over again, and indeed has happened now several times since the events you're about to watch. We saw the destruction of Libya. We're watching the destruction of Syria. Yemen, we're not watching because they don't show it, is systematically being destroyed, and the same kind of people that were murdered in Iraq are being murdered there. So much more after the film in the Q&A. I understand there's a 5-minute break at the end of the film for refreshment, but if you're coming back, I'll take any of your questions then. So thank you very much for coming in such fantastic numbers, standing room only. That's the way we like them. Thank you.